Hi, welcome to the Girl with Blue Energy. I'm Patty, the Girl with Blue Energy. I also have Bipolar 1, ADHD, and anxiety, and I've been managing this since I was diagnosed at 18. So I've learned a lot, and I think I'm relatively stable and have a successful, productive life. So I try to share my tips with people. I've gone through some stuff because of my bipolar, so I try to share my advice and things I've learned to help people manage and cope with their bipolar disorder better. I'm currently not taking any medication. I weaned off of my medication about 5 years ago with the help of a doctor when I started doing the ketogenic diet. But I've also learned a lot of other tips that are useful. And today I want to talk about a sleep hack that I've discovered that helps me to get out of a major depression when I get stuck in one. I do a lot of things to manage my bipolar disorder, including doing keto fairly religiously, but I have some, I don't do it perfectly. But the biggest thing I do is I sleep consistently. I go to bed at the same time and I wake up at the same time. And I've learned a lot about sleep and how much sleep affects bipolar disorder. So this is why I want to share this tip and this sleep hack that helps me to get out of a depression when I get in a depression state that I can't manage, or one that goes on longer than I'd like it to. So I didn't make this tip up all on my own. I found it inadvertently doing research, but I've modified it a little as I've tried it a few times, and I'm going to share it with you. And I'd really like to know what you think. Please leave me a comment about what you think about my sleep hack, and if you try it, I'd love to hear if it helps you. And secondly, I'm working really hard on my video editing skills. I'm still a newbie at this, but I've learned a few things, and I'm trying to make better videos, and hopefully my plan is to start making them more consistently here again. My life has settled down a little bit, so hopefully you can enjoy some more tips and advice from me. I'm doing really well right now, and so I want to get a new video out. And if you like what I have to say, if you like my channel, if you have ADHD or bipolar and need someone to give you tips, advice, or motivation and hope, I hope you'll click the like button and subscribe to my channel. So let's get into what I've discovered about sleep and bipolar disorder, and let me tell you a little more about how this sleep hack works. Have you ever noticed that you don't need as much sleep when you're manic or hypomanic, but when you're depressed, you need so much more sleep? That's because bipolar disorder and sleep are highly intertwined. In fact, a lot of researchers think that bipolar disorder is a circadian rhythm disorder, and they also suspect that it's linked to our immune system, which is why you may feel physically fatigued and have physical symptoms when you're depressed, or physical symptoms when you're manic. And our circadian rhythms manage a lot of biological functions in our life, including our mood stability, and they contribute to our immune system. In fact, our circadian rhythms manage the neurochemicals that are what affect us when we have bipolar disorder. Our serotonin, our norepinephrine, and our dopamine levels are all regulated by our circadian rhythms. So this is what led me to start looking into this. I would wake up every morning with this really low energy that I called morning depression, and I suspected it had something to do with having low serotonin levels in the morning. So while I was researching on morning depression and serotonin in the morning, I found some interesting research on sleep modification to treat depression, which is what I'm going to tell you how to do in just a few minutes. If you'd like to hear my sleep hack, please keep listening. I'm about to get into that. I have two strategies for dealing with my depression, which if you have bipolar disorder, no matter how well you manage it, you're going to have episodes of depression. So I use two methods. One is I use meditation and mindfulness, which mindfulness is basically acknowledging your feelings, accepting them, and letting them pass. So when I get into a depression state, I generally try to accept it, because when I try to force myself to be happy and peppy, it just seems to push the depression cycle longer. So I just accept it, and I don't force myself to have energy to feel better. And I know from mindfulness that it will eventually pass. But my second strategy when I feel stuck in a depression and I just can't get myself out of it is this sleep hack. So I found this study, or it's an experiment, I guess you'd say, on sleep manipulation. A psychiatrist and doctors, they've called this solution the bedtime solution, and I have a link to it on my blog. Please check the description for the link to that. But they had this woman who had refractory depression, and they tried everything. They put her on antidepressants, lithium, they even tried electroshock therapy, and she was still depressed and suicidal. So they decided to experiment with her sleep regimen, and they put her on a sleep protocol where they artificially manipulated her sleep so that she was sleep deprived. And this sleep deprivation is what kind of kicked her out of the depression. And I think it's because researchers and doctors know that sleep deprivation is what triggers mania. Well, it can also trigger or help you to get out of a depression cycle if you're stuck in one. So I left the schedule that they used. They used a 5-day protocol where they had her sleep for certain hours and get up for certain hours. I used my own regimen because I've tried this a few times and modified it to meet my own needs. And it's been really helpful for me. In fact, I used it earlier last week, and within a day, I felt better. So I've been wanting to share this sleep hack with my friends for a while because it really does work, and I'm curious if it helps people who also just have depression. So what these researchers did was they slowly, over 5 days, changed her sleep schedule so that she was sleep deprived, and this acted like an antidepressant. So I use this technique in my own life, but I don't follow their schedule anymore. I have my own way of doing it, but basically what you do is you sleep deprive yourself so that you're a little bit tired, and this kind of throws your mood into a hypomanic state. But it doesn't, if you do it correctly, it won't make you hypomanic. It'll just help you lift yourself out of a depression. So what I do is, before I do this sleep hack, I have some tips. First, you don't want to do it when you're already sleep deprived, because you can't get yourself into a sleep deprived state if you're already sleep deprived and depressed. It's also, if you get too sleep deprived, that's just going to make you manic. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you're fully rested. So I generally, when I get depressed, I let myself sleep as much as I need to. I feel that that's my body's way of healing. So before you try this sleep hack, make sure you've had at least 2 or 3 nights of a good night's sleep, and then do the sleep hack. So what I do is I make sure I slept well for at least 2 days, and then I set my alarm for 1 hour to 2 hours earlier than usual. And I do this for 2 or 3 days in a row. And this sleep deprivation kicks me out of my depression and helps lift my mood. And I found it incredibly helpful in my life, so I wanted to share it with other people who have bipolar disorder. When you get stuck in a depression and you're taking your meds and you're talking to your therapist and you're doing everything you can do, but you still can't get out of it, try this sleep hack. And I don't think this is a well-known solution, so I'd really love it if you'd share it with other people who have bipolar disorder. And if you try it, if you could let me know how it helps you, or if it helps you, in the comments. And of course, before you do any tinkering around with your sleep schedule and anything that could affect your illness, talk to your doctor first, show them the research, and see what they have to say. Getting up a couple hours early generally is safe, which is why that's what I use. So let me know. I really love to hear both what you think about my sleep hack tip, and if I'm making any progress with my video editing. If you watch my original videos, I was terrible at this, so I think I'm getting better at this, and I appreciate all the folks that are supporting me. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to make more practical tips for people who have bipolar, ADHD, and other mental health issues, and help you to feel more comfortable in your own skin, and give you some real life advice from someone who lives with it. Thanks for listening. I appreciate your time, and hopefully I'll have another video out for you next week.